Hey, beer lovers, this is Shane with I Love Virginia Beer Podcast, your home for all the behind-the-scenes information on Virginia's wonderful world of craft brewing. Today we are here at Fine Creek Brewing in Powhatan, Virginia. On the show today we have, gentlemen, want to introduce yourselves?
Daniel Childs.
Mark Benusa.
I'm Gabe Slagle, head brewer.
Nice. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how Fine Creek Brewing got to be in this beautiful spot.
I'll hop in. So Gabe's actually an old family friend. We knew that we wanted to have a brewery. We knew we wanted to do it out here in the country, which would be a more difficult thing to do. But we started with an idea of something very small, and we still ended up very small in terms of our actual brewery. But it definitely grew as we started planning, the building, the space, everything. But I knew of Gabe's talent as a brewer. He hadn't done a lot of commercial brewing, professional brewing, but I just knew his talent as a home brewer. I knew his skills, and I knew that his style meshed well with what I had in mind for what would fit well out here. And the idea of a small brewery that when we ran out of something and moved on to something new was just really appealing to both of us. Neither one of us looked at it as saying that we would, that our ideal brewery was some big brewery and packaging and all this stuff. We said we were just going to have something small, and that's what we've done. I mean, we've stuck with that. The plan was to basically be distributing by now, but we haven't been able to make enough beer. So we assumed about 20% or so of our beer would be in-house, and the rest we'd have to find a home for. And we have sold 100% of our beer here. So we've drawn a lot more people out to the country than we ever expected.
Which is a great problem to have.
Absolutely.
Especially considering you guys are a little bit off the main beltway of stuff. So, yeah, that's great. So, Gabe, how long have you been doing this, and how'd you get into brewing beer?
Started off, my brother was a home brewer when I was in high school, so I kind of learned originally from him.
At a young age.
Yeah, at a young age.
Well before
and
the
then,
drinking age?
Yeah, and then when I was in college, he actually, for my birthday, got me my own first homebrew kit, so I kind of been doing it for a long time, and I was always constantly reading more and more, even though I was studying something else, anthropology. That's a common brewer's
I bet it is.
concentration. I kind of kept thinking in the back of my head I was more serious about learning more and more about brewing, so I did some different, kind of went into some different smaller breweries in Virginia, learning a little bit about just what it's actually like behind the scenes. When I was at JMU, I actually taught a homebrewing class 2 days after I turned 21.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was fun. And then out of college, still doing a lot of homebrewing, is when connected with Mark, and we've been planning this for a while I was doing the planning portion of this, because this for quite a while was woods in a field, right? I was both went to the American Brewers Guild, which is kind of like the East Coast version of Siebel or UC Davis, and then I worked at Champion for a while we were still in planning here in order to get a bit more actual production experience.
Right. Now, being a home brewer in college had to make you like the most popular person on campus.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Have all the beer
a
ready to
lot
go.
of people willing to taste things that they otherwise might not. So.
You got a real captive audience right there. What was the inspiration behind the brewery? What got you into brewing beer or the passion behind opening up a brewery?
Yeah, because I brewed a little bit in college and was terrible at it. So I knew at that point.
Enter Gabe.
Enter Gabe, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we knew that we owned a wedding venue across the street in the middle of Fine Creek. We've had that for 14 years now. We knew we wanted to expand, but into a different way where we had something that was open to the public in some ways. But we didn't want to go the route of a restaurant. I was always passionate about beer, but I knew, like I said, that I wasn't able to brew it myself. So as we started looking into it, it went from like, oh, we'll just brew a little bit of beer and kind of service wedding, and it turned into what we realized was that you need a tap room to make it work, and you're going to have to be able to produce at least this much to make any sense of it at all. So all of a sudden we ended up at kind of where we are, and Gabe was very early on in that process, so it was nice to be able to plan everything with him, because I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it myself. I was very focused on the tap room itself. We knew we were going to hire Daniel as our tap room manager, so Daniel came in as well, kind of like just helping design the whole physical part of it, while Gabe was able to just focus on the beer itself. And I think that was important to have both of those things kind of working together.
Yeah. This is, you guys have this really beautiful spot. It's tree-lined roads, and you're driving out here. It's like a vacation on its own. This tap room is spectacular. What are you guys doing in this tap room that makes it so special?
I think one of the things that we work very hard to do is make everything approachable that Gabe brews here. We have a wide variety of customers that come in here, but we have a beer that everybody loves. Some people come in here expecting to get wine, but we still have 2 to 3 beers that a lot of wine drinkers still really enjoy. The food here is exceptional as well. We usually have 7-8 items on every weekend. So we get a lot of families, a lot of young folks, a lot of older folks. We get all kinds of people in here. And we try to help people learn a lot more about beer while they're here, as we're doing ourselves as well. But yeah.
Yeah, adding the food is a little bit of a unique aspect as well.
Yeah.
Was that originally part of the idea?
Not really. I mean, we knew we wanted to do some type of food with it, but it definitely wasn't. The plan wasn't to do quite as much as we had, as we are now. And that was just one of those things that quickly kind of snowballed in a good way. We've got the benefit of a full commercial kitchen across the way. We only had to do a warming kitchen here.
Right.
So we were able to basically put out some pretty incredible food without having a full kitchen.
Right.
So as we started planning the menu, it went from just a few things to Sarah, our chef, sort of took it and ran with it a bit more. And people have, we might have started, actually, if we look at our original menu, like there's no way it's as extensive as just like the beer menu, but it started with some simpler stuff, maybe 4 or 5 things, and it wasn't long before we realized that like people wanted this to be more than it was in terms of the food. Yeah. So people come in and they treat it like a restaurant. Yeah. I mean, we're just bar service, and they're all fine with that. But it's they'll order a couple food items, a few beers, have a seat, come back, order some more, and they basically just end up spending hours here in Grayson. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of everything's meant to be shared. It changes every weekend, seasonally.
Yeah. So every week you got a whole new menu going up.
Yeah, there's things that come back, like we got the chalkboard up there, but we've got, like, say, a grilled flatbread, pizza ingredients will change every week based on seasonality, or we pulling this out of the garden, we'll grab that, or we can get this locally for a week and we can do it. Yeah. And that's been really fun. With the wedding venue across the way, it's a set menu. Sometimes a year in advance what you're going to make, and it just wasn't. We didn't have that opportunity to say, let me contact this local farm and go get some sausage. Let me go pick up this or pick up that. So it's been fun for the kitchen to be able to do that. And even, Gabe's able to do it with the beer too, and that's been pretty cool too, because a bigger brewery, they might want to do some local stuff, but they're never going to be able to do a full batch. Right. Gabe just did a Saison with cucumbers, local cucumbers. Farmer dropped them off. We've done local Asian pears. We've done local blueberries.
Strawberry mosaic citra from strawberries we grew in our garden here. We grow in our Cascade hops. We'll probably do a dry hop Pilsner again or something. Yeah.
Sweet potatoes ourselves.
Yeah.
Blueberry farm that's in Powhatan. Do another grisette with blueberries.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so it's cool. It's only a 3-barrel batch, so we're able to do that, and it's a one-off. And the blueberry thing, it's once a year. So got fresh local blueberries, and then we'll wait till next year to do it again.
You had a beer. You mentioned earlier you had a beer coming out next week, right?
Yeah, we're doing a raspberry milk stout with raspberries that we pulled from the garden here. So just one cask of it, so it's a one-off there.
It'll be a short run.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the beers. What's been like the signature beer has been really popular, and you guys are just selling out of your tap house. So what's been your biggest sellers?
Go ahead.
It's kind of been all over the place in the same way that when we first started up, we knew we didn't want to be necessarily impinged on a flagship and just be brewing the same kind of beers over and over. We kind of knew that might eventually happen anyway. So we are always rotating stuff, but we have noticed there are quite a few ones that are most popular. We try and keep like our Helles lager on. Nice kind of malty, crisp, clean lager, and that's been really popular for a lot of people who come in don't necessarily know much about beer in general. Like someone asks for a Bud Light or something, and you can kind of wean them on to something that's got a bit more character.
And they love it though.
Yeah. So that's definitely always been one of the most popular. We make we call it Tiger Yum Yum. It's a milk stout that we make with Thai tea. So it's got it's kind of big, chocolatey. It's still only 5% alcohol, but the Thai tea brings with it that kind of character of black tea and then vanilla. So that's definitely one of the most popular. And then,
People drink that across the board. Like a lot of people in my family hate stouts, but they love that Thai tea milk stout. They get it every time they come out here.
And even our most popular beers, nothing stays on all the time. So even Helles Lager, even Thai tea milk stout,
Tractor Juice.
they're constantly in rotation, and it's kind of fun. People come in and say like, "Oh, last time I was here, I had this," and it was only 3 weeks ago, and 4 of the 12 beers are different.
Right.
And it brings them back. I mean, we talked about it. Like we didn't want this flagships. If we were going to bring people out on a regular basis, we would have to have fresh new beers on all the time.
Yeah.
Like our favorite places, probably all of us, are ones that you go to and maybe there's a couple you recognize, but the rest of the stuff is things to try.
Right.
And that's the way we've done it, and it's worked really well because our local support has been incredible. Like our regulars are literally people here 3 times a weekend, every week, and it's been amazing to see. And part of it's the lack of other stuff to do in Powhatan, unfortunately, but the other part is a testament to us. Yeah, that's true. But
and then with the IPAs, we have had a couple recipes that we'll bring back every now and again. The Belgian double IPA called Tractor Juice that like a lot of people will ask for again. So we'll rebrew it every now and again. But then we've got other beers like Session IPA and some different pale ales where every single time we've just played with different hop varieties and making something different every single time we make that.
Yeah. And you guys have a small system, right? You're on a 3-barrel, I think you
3-barrel.
said. So a 3-barrel system. So everything you're running is short-lived until you have to chance to brew it again.
Yeah.
We have 7-barrel tanks in the cellar as well, so as some 3-barrel. So some stuff we're doing really small batches of, some stuff we're doing double brewing into a 7-barrel. So it'll be around just long enough, but still even 7 barrels in this tap room kind of runs through pretty quick.
And I noticed you have a lot of barrels back there too. The actual and whiskey barrels.
Yeah, mostly wine.
Yeah, it's been from the start. We knew that we wanted to do kind of my biggest interest in brewing is mixed fermentation, largely in saisons, but also different sours. And so we knew when we started up, that's one of the first things we wanted to do. So even the first batches that we even brewed here were basically props for clean yeast strains to use later, but then those beers went into barrels with souring. So the very first beers that we had, we even have one of them in bottles, the Sour Red.
We're almost out of that one.
We started up right from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, it went in barrels before we even opened, Gabe was brewing, that went into barrels, and that's what just came out.
And it's just coming out now.
Yeah.
So, and then we've got
and
then some different stainless ones, like we have a sour grisette called Tart Grisette. That's been
That's what I'm drinking.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
mixed fermentation. That's one that we have made more often, but because it's a mixed culture, you're getting changes through the beer every time you're making it with that same kind of mix of lactobacillus and wild yeast.
Yeah. And those are the things that Gabe is, like when we started, I had some mixed fermentation stuff, some sours. I knew I enjoyed them, but I just didn't know that much about it. So Gabe has definitely enlightened me, and I'm sure you too, like on
I couldn't stand those 2 years ago, but that's my go-to almost every time now. Yeah.
And we're starting to get more and more people asking for that and knowing us for that, because almost always we have something that's mixed fermentation on. We've got 3 dedicated lines now to just mixed fermentation stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love here too, is like it makes like every style approachable and like it's fun doing it. It's different every time. There's like new stuff all the time. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I had somebody like last weekend, it was one of those like drink Bud Light.
Yeah.
He left with crowlers of Grisette, Tart Grisette, because he was like, this stuff's amazing.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he bought a bottle of Sour Red, and so it's just fun turning people on to new stuff.
Yeah, and that's the best part, is that you can make beers that aren't like Helles is a gateway beer in many ways, because it is a very light beer. I mean, it's a very common thing you hear places. But when it comes down to it, what we're able to do here is we're turning people who don't think they like beer onto, barrel-aged Brett saisons, things that no one would, who's really into beer, would think to turn their, grandmother onto, drinking-wise.
Or the Rosé de Brasseur, what was that one? The Grisette rested on Cab Sauv grape skins. That was a huge one. People still come in asking about that one too.
So you can make really complex, interesting beers, and the fact that they're made in a certain way makes them approachable, not because we're making a approachable beer per se.
Right. And our staff, for somebody to come in and ask for that, and that's probably never coming back, or if it is, it's going to be a long ways out.
Yeah.
And there's no disappointment, because our bartenders are just on the ball with well, try this or try that, or have you tried this, or what do you normally like? And I think that's been just the nice part, because we are out in the country, and on a Saturday, we're going to get the beer folks from Richmond that really know what they're talking about and talk about the press saisons and things. But on a Friday night, like it's locals that are not your typical like craft beer drinkers. So for them to come in and, like you said, just be open to some pretty different stuff.
We're happy to take time with them and walk them through our selection, the story behind the beer, just like the story of what it is, everything like that. Like that's one of the things that I love doing here. It's cool. So, yeah.
Are people interested in how this came to be and the connection you guys have with the cabins and the wedding venue?
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of questions.
Powhatan's a small town. A lot of people they know the family. They ask if I'm part of the family.
Yeah, pretty much everybody going to be accused of being my brother.
Yeah.
Right? You've been accused
on a daily basis. Yeah.
Oh, you're a Banusa.
Yeah. There are a lot of people from.
There's a lot of. I got a lot of siblings. That's part of the problem.
Yeah. You'll see a lot of people from the city who really knows Powhatan as you might drive out there to go get on the river for a day or whatever. So you see pretty much every weekend there's someone who comes here and this is out here. So it's definitely surprising to some people.
Yeah. I just saw this and I decided to stop in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been it's been a slow build. I mean, we didn't take the approach of we need to hit the ground running with advertising and open with a line out the door, because we're on a 3-barrel system. We knew we'd run out. So basically, we just. I don't think we told people we were opening until 4 days before we opened, and we just said
that sounds right.
We're going to go ahead and open and see what happens, and it's just been a nice slow build to the point where we do have people that live a mile up the road that say I still haven't made it in yet.
Wow.
And which is, I mean, to me it's great that we've done as well as we have with that still happening.
Yeah.
So
you still have room to grow.
Yeah. I still have room to grow, and it's been nice. I mean, while we're not distributing yet, we are talking to a few distributors, so we may start popping up in a few restaurants, but even that's going to be pretty minimal.
Yeah. You guys actually you have your own little garden section too, and you're growing some of your own hops. Yeah. What's that been like as far as, especially playing with the beer, having the control over even your ingredients?
So it's I don't want to paint a picture we're growing all of our own stuff. So I mean we have 100 Cascade plants in the ground. Mainly because I have an interest in growing hops, and we really wanted to see some hops grown here. So it'll be enough to do maybe 2 batches or something, but it'll be cool to do something with hops that have our own local terroir to them. A lot of the gardens are also for Sarah's kitchen. She'll grow herbs and things like that. We have some fruit that we're able to use for cask beers and things like that.
We do none of the gardening, but
we've got a lot of help. Yeah. But the hops did incredibly well. I mean, we just put them in obviously before we opened, but so last year was our first yield. We didn't expect anything, and
I can't believe how many hops.
It was amazing. Yeah, soil's perfect for it. Drains well.
Just cut them back a couple weeks ago, and so you can see that they're really starting to climb now that we've got some full sun.
Yeah, it's pretty
cool. We have there's a local maltster that opened up in Charlottesville, and so we're starting to work with him a little bit.
Cool.
Talking to someone who grows grain in Powhatan about having Powhatan grown grain malted and then brought back to us, so we could potentially do something with really local ingredients.
Yeah, put a plug in for Murphy Rood malting in Charlottesville.
Rood, yeah.
And
then other than that, the nice thing about being so small is that you constantly get different types of malt, different hops all the time, and be creating new things. So
it gives you a lot of room to play.
Yeah.
Speaking of being small, so what is the future look like for you guys? Are 1 year in. What does the future look like for you?
I don't know, we discussed it a lot. What we all want. I mean, I think we would be perfectly happy just continuing just like we are, and we would definitely start to run out of some beer, which would be fine. And we've got 12 things on draft always, and if occasionally we had to drop down here and there, I think we'd all be fine with that. But like I said, we've talked to some distributors. We are interested in distributing some, but at this point, if we stayed on the same system and added a fermenter, we might be in potentially a dozen restaurants at the most for a while, until we jumped up in a system size.
Yeah, we've got a lot of collaboration beers with restaurants as we've been doing these beer dinners. So this month we have a strawberry rhubarb Brett Saison that's fermenting now.
Wow.
In July with Southbound, we have
August.
Chef makes a lot of August makes a lot of koji fermented things, so he decided to make a koji sake fermented beer that's in barrels right now. So,
that's so wild.
It's stuff like that we'd really like to be able to distribute, just so that the fun things that we're doing here with some chefs, the chefs can then put on tap in their actual restaurants.
Yeah.
too.
And are those collaborations, are you doing them strictly in the restaurants, or are they also available here in the tap house?
So they're only here.
They're
Since
only
we don't
here, yeah.
distribute, it can't leave
Yeah.
here.
Good.
So like we'll put it on for that beer dinner. We'll release it for that beer dinner. The beer dinner is only 50 people, so obviously we don't go through but a sixtel,
Gotcha.
and then it'll be on for the next couple of weeks.
Gotcha.
And
They're
then
actually
go on.
bringing people in and having an event here.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So chef comes in. It's basically like a guest chef dinner. So they use our space, or they'll use their own to prep and then bring stuff in. So we've done, I guess, 4 of them now with different restaurants: Savory Grain, Lemaire, Mike Ledesma with
from
Perch.
and
There's
then
one more.
We got
the
South-
Daily.
Yeah. Dallas Miller.
Southbound coming up.
Southbound coming up.
Yeah.
Lemaire coming up again. So yeah, they come in and we just do a nice beer dinner. Gabe talks about the beer in between courses. They talk about the food. It's just a ticketed event out on Wednesday. They can stay in the cottages. So it's really cool. Brian's with Lemaire. He's June 20th, so coming up pretty soon.
Now, this I understand is a family business.
Mm-hmm.
A wedding venue
Yep.
has been around for
14 years.
14 years.
Oh, yeah, it was 04.
Great.
Wow.
Yep,
And so this is all part of an expansion into that kind of in the overall venue.
it is.
Want to obviously give a shout out to what you guys can do. So you guys have like almost it's a destination spot,
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
as
We
a
have-
brewery, but you can have
we have-
vacation cottages and
Right.
so forth.
We got 13 cottages down there. There are some small ones, some big ones. We also have a general store. We sell some local wines, some local ciders from Courthouse Creek, and little trinkets from around town as well.
Yeah, I mean, we approached it in that we wanted to basically keep ourselves separate in the sense that people knew that we were a brewery, we were open to the public, we were here acting like any other brewery would, while at the same time keeping the wedding venue as its own private thing. So tonight's Friday, right? Yeah, we've got a 175 person wedding across the street. So they have rented that space. It's 10 acres, the entire building, everything. They rented out every single cottage. They will do their own thing, like irrespective of what's happening up here. This will be open to the public, but a bunch of the guys will probably come up here beforehand. Guys,
Sure.
girls, everybody will come up here beforehand. They'll check into the cottages, walk up the hill, they'll walk back down. So
A
it's
little pregame beer.
exactly, and it acts as an amenity, and then all the draft down there is our beer as well. So we
you're able
basically
to
sell
do
to
that,
ourselves.
even though-
We are able to, we'll call it bypass distribution because our properties are conjoined and it's
Right.
the same parent company.
Thanks to a sweet law in
Sweet
the 70s
loophole.
that allowed
Yeah.
Anheuser-Busch to
the
make Busch
one time
Gardens.
where the law is actually helping you guys
It,
out.
that is the one time, yeah, it was for Anheuser-Busch and Busch Gardens, so that they could have a tap room and a brewery right next to each other.
Which is why we're putting in a bouncy castle.
When's the roller coaster going?
So,
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I mean, it's nice to see everything working together. When somebody comes for a tour for the wedding venue and then they end up here with their folks and their information packet and they're hanging out having a beer and we're kind of talking to them about the beer and they feel like this is its own business while at the same time that will be a private event over there.
Awesome.
So
Great. What do you guys want our listeners to know about Fine Creek Brewing if we haven't already talked about it?
we're here.
We do a really wide variety of beers, so I don't know if people are really into one style or not. We usually have something that they'll enjoy, and then we usually have other things that we'll try and get people to break out of their skin a little bit as a
Yeah.
beer drinker. We do bottle releases every now and again. We've just started doing that, which is pretty fun, taking some of the stuff that we've been aging in barrels mainly, whether that be bourbon barrel stouts or different Brett Saisons and things like that. So that's been really fun to play with and give people another option to be able to take that home and share that with people.
yeah,
Awesome.
and I think just the fact that we are very small and everything is made painstakingly slow and there's just a lot of care put into it, and there's a lot of unique stuff coming out of here, and just that we want people to come out and, like I said, spend hour upon hour here, and they do. So I think that's what sets us apart. We want people to hit other breweries and stuff while they're with us, and we're working on a trail. I guess we've already launched a trail called Richmond West that kind of piggybacks off of some of the other stuff that's open. Hardywood at West Creek and Midnight and
Yeah.
Licking Hole. Courthouse Creek Cidery, Midnight, a couple wineries out 6. So, just basically the people that are either in the city and want to go get some space on a weekend, or the people that are sort of on South Side and instead of turning into town, heading out of town.
Some options out
Yeah.
outside of town.
Yeah, especially people with families and, they just want a little more space. Yeah.
It's great. It's unique, and you have like I said, you have a really beautiful spot. So it's got a different feel entirely. It's much
Yeah.
more relaxed.
Yeah.
Great. But you guys heard it here. Come on out to Fine Creek Brewing in Powhatan, Virginia. It's worth the drive. It's beautiful. The beer is delicious. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Don't forget to go check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Like us, follow us. Go to ilovevirginiabeer.com where you can find hats with bottle opener, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and more. Thank you guys very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
See
us.
you next time.